The result of the main event of WWE Fastlane on Sunday will lead to one of two outcomes. Daniel Bryan is added to the WrestleMania 37 Universal Championship match, or simply the original plan, Roman Reigns vs. Edge. While adding Bryan would be the logical next step, it wouldn't be the first time WWE utilized a cruel, heartbreaking twist of events to get fans excited about Bryan's future. Bryan was pinned by Roman Reigns to close out the match, but the chaos that led up to that moment certainly seemed to indicate that there is more of a story to come in the 3 weeks between Sunday night and WrestleMania. First and foremost, Bryan got Reigns to tap out, meekly, but clearly, in a WWE landscape in which Reigns has been protected from such an outcome throughout his entire WWE career. That tap out happened in the chaos created by Jey Uso, who broke up an unwinnable situation for Reigns with Bryan's yes lock in place. USO superkicked both Bryan and the special guest enforcer, Edge, to help Reigns and start the closing sequence of the match. USO also introduced a chair, and it eventually led to Bryan swinging at Reigns, missing, and hitting Edge instead. As Bryan was accomplishing the impossible, forcing Reigns to tap, an incensed Edge smashed both Reigns and Bryan with that same chair. Reigns crawled on top of Bryan to pick up the 3 count, but there couldn't have been a clearer case for Bryan to force his way into WrestleMania. Bryan Reigns was one of several matches that overperformed at Fastlane despite the predictable nature of the card and its potential outcomes, with Drew McIntyre vs. Sheamus, Seth Rollins vs. Shinsuke Nakamura and Riddle vs. Mustafa Ali all fitting that bill, as well. But the main event reached an entirely different level from the rest, as Bryan and Reigns slowly built up tension in a classic clash of styles. Bryan's technical prowess vs. Reigns' strength and unwillingness to bend at all costs. Reigns repeatedly broke Bryan down, only for Bryan to turn around and play each situation to his advantage. Bryan broke out a half-dozen different transitions into yes-lock attempts, some successful and some not. Reigns, frustrated with how hard Bryan was going at the submission, got increasingly ruthless with his punches and attacks every time he fought his way out. The match reached another level when Reigns launched his body into a spear attempt and ran directly into Bryan's knee. Bryan bounced off the ropes for a running knee of his own, only to hit the referee when Reigns ducked the attack. Reigns then hit a spear, leading Edge to roll into the ring to get involved for the first time all match. Now serving as the replacement official, he counted to 2 before Bryan kicked out of the pinfall attempt. Reigns drove hammerfists down on Bryan, but Bryan caught Reigns in a triangle choke. Reigns picked Bryan up for a one-armed powerbomb, but Bryan punched his way out.